Hey folks, it's K-Rock. When you're in Port Charlotte, please make sure you stop by the Twisted Fork, one of my favorite restaurants where you can eat, drink, and enjoy. Bert Parsley.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
We're happy to have you here. You're a guy that I think I reached out to you a while ago, and just like your brother, man, you're very busy. You're a very busy guy.
That is a fact.
Besides being a real estate broker, you are the owner of one of the hottest restaurants, certainly one of my favorites, and I'm going to get into that in detail, the Twisted Fork.
Yes, sir.
You're also a professional drummer,
Yes, sir.
and you're probably the biggest Jacksonville Jag fan that I know of.
Not many down here,
Right?
Many of us down here.
I know
but
you love
yes. Yeah, I certainly do.
I'm going to talk about football first because that's what I love.
Sure.
What are your expectations of this season for them?
Man, we'll see. I tend to drink the Kool-Aid every year about this time with the new draft picks and free agent pickups and everything like that. I'm excited about our new receiver from last year, Brian Thomas Jr., and you saw what the Jags did in the draft. It's pretty exciting. Traded up to number 2, got Travis Hunter, kind of a phenom generational player, plays both sides of the ball. It changes the dynamic of the team.
But here's a question from a guy that's not a big fan like you. Trevor Lawrence seems to be a great quarterback. Why isn't he like the next Josh Allen? Like, what's holding him back?
Well, I think one thing that's been holding him back is the previous regime, which is gone now, really didn't build up the trenches enough. And the first thing this regime did is immediately added 9 linemen, defensive linemen and offensive linemen. Yeah. So you got to protect your quarterback. My take with him is you give him an extra couple seconds to throw, he's going to eat you alive. So, he's been hurt 2 years in a row because the lineman couldn't keep the guys off of him. And, I think it's exciting to give him some time in the pocket.
Isn't it incredible how in the NFL, the difference that 1 second can make?
It makes a huge difference, especially at the quarterback position.
Because you have multiple reads, right?
Yep.
Now it's like these edge guys. Every team has like edge guy that can get to the quarterback, right?
Yep, exactly.
So you have to, protect that guy. Who's your left tackle?
Well, it's up in the air right now. We'll see who it's going to end up being.
Because that's a serious question mark.
It is a serious question mark. They've added a guy in free agency. It's all gonna be competition during training camp. We'll see how they shuffle people. It's gonna be interesting to watch it all play out. I think they're gonna shift some guards and tackles around, and it'll be interesting to watch how it falls into play.
Now that division seems to be always up for grabs because you have Houston Texans who were hot 2 years ago.
Correct.
The Colts, which are, I think, the NFL's biggest question mark, is like on paper they're supposed to be good, and every year they suck.
Yeah, it's true.
And then the Tennessee Titans,
correct,
which took a step back.
Yes.
So don't you think that it's up for anybody can claim that title?
I think it's anybody's division. Yeah, I really do. And the goal, obviously, is getting the playoffs. So it all starts over when you hit the playoffs. So you can win your division you're in.
Now, you said that you're a season ticket holder?
Yes.
And how long have you been a season ticket holder?
Oh, gosh, a long, long time. I don't even know. I'd have to look at it. I had them early on when they first started in 95 and then moved down here, let them go. And then Marcus and I got them again. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, probably. So we've had them for quite a number of years.
And do they upgrade your seating? Like when you're a season ticket holder, do they give you a chance?
You have the option to, and we did this year, actually. Yeah, we were in section, 215. We moved down to 115 several years ago, and now we moved over. We're about halfway up in the first section, just to the right of the clubs is where we are now. One of these years, I'll stop being cheap and actually buy club tickets.
There you go. Now, is it like the Tampa Bay Stadium, which is like in the summer, it's so hot, the sun's right in your face?
Yeah, definitely it's hot. Yeah, you're constantly battling the heat. It's Florida. You know what I mean?
Because I have a buddy who's got Buccaneer season tickets, and he always invites me to the very first home game because nobody wants to go because it's in September.
Yeah, sure.
So one time I was passed out. It was 100 degrees. It was crazy.
Yeah, it gets hot. Yeah.
And then you're drinking beer on top of that. Which
exactly.
Doesn't help. Hey, so every guest that comes on the show gets a free jacked up T-shirt.
Awesome.
And it's nice and bright, so nobody's going to knock you down on your bicycle or motorcycle.
Yeah.
That's for you.
Thank you very much.
So
appreciate that.
Let's talk about the Twisted Fork because every guest that I've had on this show basically has played the fork.
Cool.
And we all agree we love it because for 3 reasons. Number one, you have a huge stage.
Yes. On purpose.
Yeah. And you have the best sound system, and you're always updating it
on purpose.
Always getting better lighting. Like you just said, your brother right now is on a ladder.
He is. He's doing upgrades right now as we speak.
And then you have competent sound people.
Yes.
For an example, I bribed one of your guys to record me through the board.
Yep.
And I couldn't believe how good these recordings turned out.
Sure. We have plans for that. We're actually the next step we're going to do. We've been, like you say, adding lights and adding different systems for, subs and arrays and everything else. The next step is going to be a camera system, and we're pricing out some different systems and kind of beta testing some different systems, and we're going to have some fixed cameras. We're going to have a floating camera. We're going to have a Bluetooth camera, and it's all going to relay back to a YouTube channel. So not only are we going to be able to provide recordings for our bands, we're going to be able to provide basically enough material and data you can build an amazing EPK off of what we can do with it. So
That's awesome, dude.
so it's coming soon. It's it's all about money, right? And so every year we come out of season, and I got to stare at what happened and then decide what I'm going to upgrade, what I'm going to fix, what I'm going to do. What I'm going, we're in project mode right now, coming out of season. Well, my summer is busy this year with everything I want to get done. We're going to add the camera system. We finally got our permit number back to extend the stage cover. For those of you that have been there, we kind of have a tarp system, over the stage. We're literally extending the red iron. So it's going to be a fixed red iron cover, and it will go over the existing shipping containers that are behind the stage now, 28 feet further and 100 feet wide. So our goal is to be a true rain or shine venue, and we're heading that direction. So with any luck, we'll have that construction done before summer's over.
Excellent. Now, the reason why you've built it up so big is because you'll have some big name bands come
Yeah,
through.
I mean, we've had some nationals already, which was a lot of fun, and they drew well. But we're small fries as far as small business owners go. And if we got to drop 80,000 on a concert, and you risk the weather, it's a bummer because you got to pay the band and refund tickets. It gets to be a risk. You know what I mean? So having the right venue to avoid that is crucial. So that's what we're.
But the great thing about your venue is that when you have a big act come through and it's a beautiful night, I've seen this place. Your place gets packed. I mean, it's like
it packs.
You can't even find a parking space anywhere.
We can legally hold 2,200 there, which is pretty cool. We've never got to that number. I think the most we ever had was between 17 and 1,800.
What were some of the bigger acts that you've had in the past?
We had Los Lobos, which was a lot of fun.
I love those
guys. The original Los Lobos. They were great. The drummer actually was the old drummer for the Beastie Boys. I didn't know. Tuss chatted with him after the show. We hit it off and just chatted for quite a while. We had Puddle of Mud. That was one of my favorite shows.
They're good.
And we got the Good Wes. He showed up and was great and just real accommodating, real respectful. We hung out after the show as well. And that drummer and I have kept in contact. We've had Blackberry Smoke. That was a great show. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but those are probably the top three that.
And then on top of that, you get these wonderful national tribute acts.
Sure, yeah.
So you'll get like the best Motley Crue,
the
best Kid Rock, the best Led Zeppelin,
the
Van Halen. And so that's great because Port Charlotte to me is a rock and roll county.
It really is.
Like people in Charlotte County love the rock and roll.
No question.
I mean, nothing against Sarasota and Bradenton. That's where my Jacked Up plays a lot up there. But when we play down in Charlotte County, whether it's your place or some of the other ones, people just go gaga over live classic rock.
Sure. There's a country music following as well, but classic rock is it. It really is.
And some of the hair metal, like my buddy Sunset Strip, who
Strip,
seem to get better every time they perform.
I just said that the other night. Literally, every time they play there, they sound better.
I know.
They have improved themselves over and over. They're really
so good.
No question.
Yeah. So
love those guys.
So besides being a wonderful rock and roll venue, the food is delicious.
I'm glad you like it.
And that's what I tell people because it's a scratch kitchen.
It is.
Your hand is very much involved in the menu.
Yes.
Why don't we talk a little bit about the food part?
Sure. Yeah, that's near and dear to my heart. As far as I'm concerned, you can have a really cool venue, you can have a really cool restaurant, but you don't have good food, you're nothing to me. I mean, there's certain concepts out there that are great, but you get in their food's just kind of meh, then you got some work to do, and a lot of restaurants get complacent and they get a crowd and they think, this is good enough. Well, it's never good enough. You always need to be improving your food. So I went to culinary school in my early 20s and never graduated, but learned enough to keep myself in trouble. I ended up diving into restaurant management and got out of school early. That menu is the last 35 years of my life, culinarily speaking, in the places that I have worked and been and experienced. And, it's a big menu. A lot of my peers thought I was crazy opening with a menu that big, but that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to give our patrons plenty of options and choices. And there's all kind of gluten-free stuff there and, somebody for everybody. There's healthy stuff. There's not so healthy stuff. There's, it's a great option. There's a lot of options for the people to try out. Everything, like you mentioned, we make in house. We cut our own steaks fresh in house, 90-day age, top choice. All the fish is fresh. The salmon is fresh. We make our dressings, we make our sauces, we make everything in house. So it's, I'm a little old school, and it goes against today's culinary world to some degree, because the distributors are always trying to get you to bring product in that cuts your labor. And that sounds well and good, but it's just not the same quality. It just isn't. So I don't care how you do it. If you're bringing in it pre-made or pre-smoked or pre-whatever, it's not going to be as good. So we smoke all our own food right in house. Everything is fresh and scratch.
Everything comes out hot too. I'm a big fan of when I order hot food, I want it served hot.
Sure, no question.
You also have great servers there.
Yeah, well,
and you have a low turnover. It seems like you have a lot of people that are always with you.
Yeah, we've got a good core bunch. We really do. And a lot of them have been with me from the get-go. Our 5-year anniversary is coming up on September 1st. And, I stare at the faces and I'm like, wow, this gang has been with me from the start. It's pretty cool. We've added a lot of talent, as we've moved along. And it was a journey getting open. I mean, we were supposed to open March 2020 and they shut the world down March 2020, so we had to pick a weekend and went for it and opened. And, it was hard to get staff then because everybody's getting their free checks and all that mess, but we made it happen, made it work. And we're over the hump now.
Well, it's also an entertainment mecca in the sense that you're perfectly located. So folks down in Collier and Lee and folks in Manatee and Sarasota can hop on 75.
Yeah.
Easily to find at El Joe Bean Road, right?
Yep.
It's a huge facility. You have a great relationship with the Harley Davidson next door.
That we do.
And that's nice synergy right there.
His name is also Bert, if you didn't catch that. There are two Berts. I always say I'm the younger, poorer Bert. He slings bikes, I sling food, a little different. Yeah. But love the guy. We're very good friends. We've figured out a way to have some real good synergy, and we co-market, co-sponsor. It works out very well.
And the cool thing is, you guys have something going on all the time. For an example, there's a Buffalo Bill fan club. There's an Ohio State fan club. You guys are doing things for veterans all the time. There's always some kind of charity event going on.
Yep.
Then on the off nights, you're having like cornhole tournaments, or you're having an open mic night.
That's right.
There's your activity. Whoever is that, you planning the activities? You seem to be
me
like
and my
on
brother.
top of it.
Marcus is the entertainment director. He mainly focuses on the music aspect of it. The rest of it was trial and error. Hey, let's try this. Let's try this. And some things stuck, some things didn't. What is in play now has worked well. Thursday nights are line dancing, and we rotate instructors, which the people really enjoy.
How is the crowd?
It's great. You'll get
a big crowd there.
300 people
And
come
you
out.
you move those tables and say,
and we clear out the whole pavilion space, and then flank it with the tables. It works out well. And then Wednesday night is Rockstar Bingo. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but it's a unique spin on bingo. You actually download an app, put in the codes, you're in the game, and there's the big screen out there we've got. And we have a DJ that puts it on. And what he does, he plays title and artist, and you have to match it to a bingo card. So
interesting.
So it's a lot of fun. It's a music thing.
Yeah.
It becomes a big sing-along. Everybody knows the songs. We give away all kind of stuff, from buckets of beer to pizzas to gift cards to merch, and people love it. And, it's funny because they all throw shade on each other. Like somebody will call bingo and it really wasn't bingo. And so the patrons get into it and have a lot of fun. So it's a blast, and it's really grown.
I'm going to have to check it out.
Yeah.
My good friend Sal Carabata.
Sal well. Yeah.
And his wife Denise.
Yep, absolutely. They're there all the time.
They're there all the time. They support the local bands.
Yep.
They love the bingo.
Yep.
He's always having his lunch or dinner there.
Yep.
He's one of your best customers.
He's definitely one of our key regulars, no question.
Yeah, I like Sal.
In
fact, Sal and I have become such good friends that I'll say, "Hey, Sal, what song should we learn next? Give us some tips.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you'd be doing good this one. Dude, try that song."
Right. Cool.
But well, good. So so now you are the owner of this particular restaurant. You're also a real estate broker.
Yes. So
were you a broker first, and then you got the restaurant, or was it the other way around?
No, the restaurant was first. Like I say, I was in restaurants, in high school, and before college for anything. And, I got burnt out, got out of the business after about 10, 12 years, and then dove into other businesses, including real estate. And then had an opportunity to get back in the business with a restaurant group in Fort Myers. And I'm currently partners in 4 stores in Lee County, which is Boathouse 31 out in Sweetwater Marina, and then 3 downtown Fort Myers stores right in Historic District, Izzy's, Capone's, and the Lodge.
Fantastic.
And so that got me back into the business. And this opportunity came up in Port Charlotte with Bert. And my guys didn't want to go to Port Charlotte. And I'm like, well, I'm not missing this deal. I'm doing this deal. And everybody thought I was crazy. But it worked out quite well.
I mean, I would say you hit a home run, dude.
A home run is a good term for it. You know, it's become my monster. Sometimes you're riding it like a jockey. Sometimes you barely have it by the tail. But
well, I mean, like I think with anything else, and we're gonna get into bands next and music. But once you surround yourself with the right people,
that's it.
You know what I'm saying?
That's always been a key concept of mine. Surround yourself with good people, and good things happen. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about music now. So you're a very good drummer.
Thank you.
So let's get into how'd you get into drumming? Let's talk about all that stuff.
Well, I played drums since the 5th grade, long time. My family's always been very musical. My father was a musician. My mother played piano. My father was a horn player, trombone, baritone, trumpet, and he played with a gospel band for many years in the 70s when Marcus and I were growing up, and literally had a big tour bus and toured all over Southeast United States, playing at different churches and such. So we were subjected to that lifestyle very early, and it stuck. And, when we were old enough to pick instruments, they stared at us, said, "What do you want to play?" I said, "Drums." Mark said, "The trumpet." And here we are, many years later. So,
but was it rock and roll for you right away, or did you maybe go with jazz?
It was rock and roll right away for me, definitely.
And we're like, what was it, the Beatles?
Not so much the Beatles. It was some of the heavier metal at the time. I graduated in '89, so you're right in the heyday of Metallica and all the hair bands we used to love to play, Queensryche and all that. It was a lot of fun. Marcus, dove in and went the other direction. We played jazz in high school. We had jazz band and symphonic band and all that, and we were in the same band. Just 2 years apart. So he really grew to love the jazz. He's got some jazz albums.
Well, so you're talking about, for listeners, you're talking about your brother Marcus Parsley,
my brother Marcus,
who was on this show,
correct?
Who's also the musical director.
He is
at the venue. I think right now he plays with J.J. Gray and Mofro.
Mofro's correct,
and he's an incredible trumpet player. Now, were you amazed at how good he got and how far he went?
I always say that he better be good. As many years as I've had that trumpet in my face, you know what I mean? He better be good at his craft.
It can be annoying sometimes.
Oh, gosh. We would kill each other a couple times, yeah.
Now, did you ever play together? Like, did you ever have a band?
We did. We played together a couple times. I guess the most popular one, we played in a band called the Big Band Theory in Jacksonville, cut a CD. Did a little bit of touring. There were 15 people in the band, which is why it was called the Big Band Theory. And we had literally a horn section, 3 backup singers, a DJ, and it was hip hop actually. And it got really popular. We did our CD release party at a place called the Fat Cat Lounge in Jacksonville, and the fire marshal showed up because we had too many people crammed in there and had to do 2 shows. It was kind of fun. But other than that, we haven't played together until recently. He disappeared to New York City, played with a lot of famous jazz people up there. Lawson Harris was his guy, and they were the house band at the Carlisle Hotel in Manhattan for 200 days a year for a while. So he was gone for 12 years. So we didn't collaborate again until.
Did you go visit him in Manhattan?
A couple times, yeah.
Did you enjoy that?
I'm not a big city guy.
No,
I'm a Florida kid, So the woods and the water are my thing. But I went up to see him a couple times. Yeah.
So now you're playing drums currently.
Yes.
So let's talk about your current project.
Well, I'm in 2 different bands currently. I'm in a band called Carnival of Soul. They've been around a long time. Chris Cordino is our lead singer and director and guitar player, and he wrote a lot of the music. Amazing musician, amazing singer. Several years ago, he had 3 members of the band all die within a short period of time.
Jesus.
And so he kind of got PTSD from it all and kind of just buried it. And he was playing a solo gig on the stage at the Fork one time, and I hadn't met him before, and I heard him play, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. And so it took a little while to get him back into the game and playing again. But he eventually agreed, and we brought all the music back, and we're re-recording some of it now. And I just love the music. It's mainly it's an all original rock band. Obviously, we have to do a bunch of covers to play out in today's world, but I really enjoy the originals, and we're having a lot.
And tomorrow night Friday night, at Twisted Fork, you'll be performing live.
We will. Carnival of Soul will be playing. What's unique about that show is we're actually playing with some members of the Port Charlotte High School band.
Cool.
So we're going to do a set of music which will involve horns. So we're going to do Chicago, Tower of Power, Earth, Wind and Fire, Bruno Mars, stuff like that. And we'll get to showcase some horns from the high school.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be
I
fun.
bet you those kids are so fired up.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. I've worked with high school bands over the years, several different times, from drumline stuff to concert band stuff. And so I enjoy it. It's pretty fun.
I would definitely attend that, but I'm going to see AC/DC.
Oh, well, there you go.
They're at Raymond James.
Gotcha. Cool.
And it's a birthday present.
Got it. Gotta love it.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So you're playing with Carnival. So who's the second band?
The other band is called John Salloway and the Regulators. John Salloway is out of Nashville, Tennessee, recording artist up there. He has a big book of original music as well. You mentioned the Beatles. That's his influence. So these two bands are pretty different. Carnival of Soul is rock originals, and Salloway, you listen to his music and you can hear the Beatles influence in his music. And he's an amazing musician, amazing singer. And what's been unique is I've been able to morph the bands over the last year or so. Guitar player from Salloway ended up quitting, and I got Chris Dino to play in that band as well. The bass player now plays in both bands. So Paul, the bass player, myself, Dino, and our backup singer are now members of the two bands. It's kind of unique how it worked out. So we have literally two polar opposite different bands, which is cool for us as musicians because it really challenges us to play differently, So we're having a blast. We just got back from playing a gig in Kentucky. We had a big air show we did up there. And then we're on June 8th, we're playing at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville.
That's a very famous place.
Which I can't wait.
Now, who gets those gigs for you?
Well, Salloway got us that gig. He's in Nashville, so he was able to hook that one up. And I think we're playing again there in November. The air show deal was a buddy of mine who I know, he's my accountant. He's also a pilot, and he was heading up this big air show event. So he asked us up to play.
I should get John on the show one day.
You should.
Does he come to Port Charlotte often?
All the time. Yeah, quite often.
But he lives in Nashville.
4 or 5 times a year he's down here. But we could definitely get him on. You'd enjoy interviewing him. He's a great musician and just solid guy.
You know what, Bert? There's so many good musicians down here. It's insane.
They're all over the place.
When you think
they come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, just when you think you know it all, you don't. This guy played at the Moody Blues, and
exactly.
he lives here. I'm like, you be kidding.
Oh, this guy's in Sarasota. This guy's in Inglewood. This guy's in Fort Myers. They're all over the place. Yeah, it's true.
And sometimes they'll pop up at various venues. Like one time we were playing Stottlemeyer's, and a couple of pro guys came out to see us, and they had a chance to come see us, and they complimented us.
Love it.
Which is great.
That's awesome.
You know, whenever I need a drummer, whenever I need a fill-in guitarist, man, there's always so many good people.
They're around, no doubt.
Dana Lawrence was on last week. And
yeah.
Dana runs Kettle of Fish.
Kettle of Fish, yeah.
And the one thing that we discovered was that, Dana's got a black book of just quality musicians that he can summon up whenever
we
he
do
needs,
as well, as you can imagine.
So, the guys he's got now, versus some of the older guys he's played with. But, Sarasota County is very rich in Allman Brother history, Dickie Betts history.
Oh, yeah, no question.
And there's still a lot of those folks around,
They are.
The Outlaws up in Tampa, right?
They've played several times at the Fork.
And another piece of music, so that hard rock where there's I want to say thrash metal,
sure,
or maybe when they're screaming and whatnot.
Yeah.
That came out of Tampa, and Kelly Schaefer was on the show.
Okay.
And he sings. He's over there in South America touring.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, man. I mean, when he plays, there's massive audiences that are singing his lyrics. And he told me he couldn't believe it because the band broke up for several years. He comes back and starts doing a tour, and all the kids through YouTube found his early stuff, and they memorize it. And so now he's singing to an audience, and he can't believe it. He said it's such a trip.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I guess the point I'm going with all this is that there's so much music here.
Yes.
We still haven't even touched country yet.
Yeah.
There's a very big country scene here.
There is. Yep.
And if I was going to do a second band, I would do a country band because I think there's a hunger for it. I think there's an appetite. People want more country.
We cover some country for that reason. Both bands do. It's a little odd for Carnival of Soul, but it falls right in with Salloway, filling in some country, especially him being out of Nashville. So we cover some country, but, my heart's in the rock and roll.
Oh, yeah, man. So speaking of rock and roll, so like you said, Led Zeppelin growing up.
Oh, yeah.
What were some other bands like in the 90s? What were you digging on?
Oh, gosh, 90s. I mean, everybody loved the Seattle bands.
So you were a Seattle guy?
Oh, Jane's Addiction, Pearl Jam, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Alice in Chains. I mean, who didn't? I saw all of them in concert.
Yeah, because
I love them all.
I'm a huge Foo Fighter fan. Right?
Foo Fighters. I mean,
So,
come on. I saw Nirvana before.
You see, I never saw Nirvana.
Yeah,
and you probably saw it with Dave on drums.
It did.
Okay,
yep. In Jacksonville.
So when obviously that Kurt died, and then he went and did that demo,
correct,
and created the Foo Fighters.
Yep.
And he is one of the greatest songwriters, man. He has the hooks,
super strong.
He's got the melodies, man. He really knows what he's doing.
I'm a big fan.
Every time I've seen that guy live, he puts on a tremendous show.
He puts on a show too. He goes over the top.
Yeah. Did you ever see the DVD when they were live in Wembley?
I have not.
Oh, you got to rent that.
I will. I'll check it out. I've been to Wembley once. It was pretty cool.
I mean, now it's obviously you can get it online, but digitally. But he does a show where he basically sells out Wembley.
That's cool.
And he goes through his greatest hits, right? And then he brings out John Paul Jones and Jimmy Page.
Wow.
And they do rock and roll.
Yeah.
And they switch. So Dave plays drums, and the drummer at the time came up and sang.
That's awesome.
And then they did Ramble-On, which is my favorite Zeppelin song.
That's a great one. Yeah.
And the place went nuts.
I bet.
Especially
in the UK.
Yeah. And then when I'd see him in Atlanta, one of the great things about him is he also would throw in some cover songs. So he would do some Queen, he'd do some Van Halen.
There you go, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He would throw in like some of that great stuff that he grew up to. Oh, he did Paul McCartney and Wings, Band on the Run.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how obscure is that?
Random, but I like it. Yeah, no doubt. Very cool.
So Alice in Chains, unfortunately they had to cancel their tour. I think
I heard that. Yeah.
Was not feeling well or something.
Yeah.
But who's the guy? He passed away, unfortunately. Chris Soundgarden, and then he was
Chris Cornell.
Chris Cornell,
huge
man.
fan. Huge fan.
One time I saw him, I didn't know who he was, and I saw him years ago in Orange County at a a House of Blues.
Yeah, okay.
And he's doing like Zeppelin. He's doing like Zeppelin, Thank You, and all these like acoustic things. And I said, who is this guy? Because I didn't really know who they was at that point.
Yeah.
And I got in for free because I knew somebody who knew somebody. Anyway, he's a huge deal. He went on to have this incredible career.
He had the ultimate rock and roll voice, Chris Cornell. I mean, to me, it was like the rock and roll voice. It's what you aspire to go to, for rock and roll. I just love him. I've seen him live in all 4 iterations of his various bands, from Soundgarden to Audio Slave. I saw him on a solo tour. I got to see Temple of the Dog with him, and it just, big fan. Just,
How many shows do you think you've seen, man?
Oh gosh, hundreds and hundreds.
I mean, you're just a big show going.
I turned my oldest daughter on to concerts, got her hooked. She'd been to hundreds with me. I mean, just, we saw Soundgarden in concert 2 weeks before Chris Cornell died. And I have a picture of her. She made it all the way to the wall. And I got a picture of her getting a high five with Chris Cornell. I was back about 20 yards or so, and he was just going down the row, slapping high fives. And I snapped the picture of him with Zoe, catching a high five, and she called me that morning in tears. I'm like, what's the matter? He's dead. I'm like, what are you talking about? Chris Cornell. I'm like, what? So she took it to heart,
Yeah, I mean, I guess none of us really saw that coming, right?
No, none of us saw that
because he didn't seem to be.
Same thing with Chester, same thing.
Yeah.
Lincoln Park.
Very sad.
Yeah.
But what city was that in when you saw?
I think that was in Jacksonville. Yeah. It was at one of the Rockvilles, I believe. No, it was it was in Jacksonville. It was an outdoor show in Jacksonville. That's where it was.
Does Jacksonville do something big every year like Daytona does, where they have that massive?
Well, they moved it to Daytona. It was in Jacksonville. It was downtown Jacksonville for the longest time, and then now Daytona's picked it up.
And they call it Rockville or something?
Welcome to Rockville. And I've seen it once.
Multiple stages, multiple days.
150 bands, 4 days. You really have to pace yourself.
So when you have a ticket for that, I'm assuming they do it at the racetrack in Daytona?
They do.
So and they put it in corners, like they
yes.
So then your ticket just allows you to go
anywhere and everywhere.
Okay.
Now they have VIP tickets too that allow you to go to certain sections around the place, which is what we did last time we went. But
yeah, because you want to probably have it like an air conditioning.
Right.
You're going to want a clean
plus
bathroom.
The food's a little better. The bathrooms are air conditioned. The VIP is worth doing for sure, at least at my age.
But how long would the bands play for?
You'd get a full the opening bands, you didn't get a full show. You'd get, anywhere from 5 to 10 songs. But the night bands, the headliners, you got a full show. It was great.
But would they set it up so when this band would start and stop, the other band was ready to go, or were they playing simultaneously?
It was some of the stages were so far apart. There were concerts going on at the same time. But it was so far apart you couldn't tell it.
So that wasn't a problem. Like it wasn't interfering with the.
No, because the small stages were exactly that. They were small stages, right? So the sound systems were designed for that area, right? As soon as you get on the big stage, you can hear it at the beach. So, and at night they didn't alternate them, because everybody knew everybody's going to be at the headlining bands, right? During the day, they start early. I mean, there were bands on at 10 o'clock, and then you have to look at the schedule and decide where you wanted to be when and hop around.
Were you allowed to leave the venue and come back?
If you had outside tickets, I think you could. I actually brought a camper and camped there, so we were in there the whole time.
Smart.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, because
Yeah.
you're not waiting in any lines. Literally, you walk out of your camper, I'd cook breakfast, and we go right into the show.
Because I would say that most people would probably have hotels.
Most people would have hotels.
They'd have to go to their hotel, so fight to get an Uber or cab, and then come back the next day.
Camping's the way to do it.
Right, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I stayed at that Hard Rock Hotel in Daytona.
Sure, yeah.
And I
have too, yeah.
I had the experience of that bike week they do.
Yeah.
I went one time because I wanted to check it out,
Growing up in Jacksonville, we went often.
Yeah,
spring
and it was
break
cool because
and bike week.
The bikers were really well behaved, and all the venues were great, and they had the best of the tribute bands.
They're very organized with that, yeah.
All these like hair bands. There's one band that the guy dresses up like Gene Simmons.
Oh, yeah.
And the other guy dresses up like the dude from oh God, what's it called? Hollywood something or Hair or something? Hair Nation. Or they're so good because each guy can sing. And they all dress up like the characters.
Oh, okay.
Like Guns N' Roses was represented.
Right.
Somebody dressed up like David Lee Roth, Gene Simmons. And they put on a show, man. And apparently they're like Daytona's #1 metal tribute band.
That's cool.
But then there's obviously the Indy 500 is
Daytona 500.
Daytona 500, is a big deal as well.
Yep. Sat in the Daytona stands for the longest rain delay in Daytona history one year. That sucked.
So you got some incredible beaches there too.
Incredible beaches. I actually prefer the West Coast beaches, honestly. I prefer them down here. You got the sunsets, and I grew up on Jacksonville Beach, Neptune Beach, Mayport, all through there, but Ponte Vedra, but I prefer down here, honestly.
The only problem I had with Jacksonville, and maybe it was the time that I went there was always construction going on.
Sure.
And it was nothing but bridges and construction, and 95 was just, horrid.
Yeah. They've caught up with the infrastructure now. It's much better than it was. But you're right. For the longest time, it felt like the whole city was under construction.
But, I'm a New Yorker, and I spent most of my time on the east coast of Florida. Now that I'm on the west coast, I agree. Siesta Key Beach is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I like the Gulf, but I'm still more of an ocean guy, and there's more action over there.
Sure.
There's more fun things to do, like Fort Lauderdale, Delray Beach.
Sure, yeah.
It's kind of like retirement down here. Like, I mean, yes, I'm getting older myself, but like
it's slower
pace.
It
seems like there's not a lot of 30 and 40-year-olds here. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
It's the median average age is getting younger. I've watched it since I've moved down here progressively get younger as more businesses, move here. So it'll come into its own.
What do you think of like the state of the area? So for an example, they put a casino. No, they put a hotel in Punta Gorda.
Yep.
And it looks like a casino. That's why I said.
Yeah, it's a resort. Yeah, Sunseekers Resort. Yeah.
And I said to myself, okay, it took forever to build that thing because there was hurricane issues, there was COVID issues.
Yep.
They finally got it up and running, and I had a chance to tour it because we were going to be one of the bands to play there.
It's pretty cool.
And beautiful hotel, beautiful rooms, and it just seems like a massive structure. And I always said to myself, man, why doesn't this place have gambling? Like, why wouldn't the Indians get involved and have like some
question.
Kind of casino? Yeah. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's that. I think the writing's on the wall. I think I think it was designed for that. They're suspecting future legislation to open it up some, right? So I think some of it was on speculation that they're going to be able to get it there. But you talk about success, that place would be over the top with the casino. There.
Well, the airline, right, Allegiant, is the owner, right?
Correct.
And I guess they're also probably flying people in from all over the U.S. and saying, here's a package. You get round trip airfare, hotel transfer, and you can stay at the hotel for X amount of dollars.
We've actually talked to them about doing some packages with concerts at the Fork. So you'll get a couple nights at a resort and a concert ticket and dinner at the Fork and and we package it up and market it that way. We haven't done it yet, but we've been talking about it, discussing it with them, and they're in on doing it.
I'm interested in seeing if this summer they do like a Florida resident thing. Where like once things slow down, the guys that live around here
get some room, get real staycation deals. Yeah, I hope they do. That'd be cool.
Like in Disney World.
Yeah,
I'm actually getting ready to go up to Epcot next week. I haven't been to Epcot in a while, and my friend and I, we're gonna do a drink around the world.
Yeah, that's a fun trip.
Like you start in Canada and you just kind of work your way around.
My favorite's a little Irish pub there in Epcot.
But where is it located? In what country?
I guess it's Ireland, wouldn't it be?
Because Ireland. They have England.
Well, maybe it's UK then.
Yeah, maybe they put it
maybe
there.
it's Britain, but
Yeah.
there's a little pub it stuck. I remember that over all the other ones.
I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Because, usually it would be a beer, but lately I've gotten away from beer, so I'm gonna have a mixed drink. So I'll probably drink the Irish whiskey. That could be my first stop.
There you go.
And then make it around.
Like it.
But we used to love to go to Mexico because
Mexico's cool.
it's nice and cool in there.
Yeah, and it looks like you're outside, but you're inside.
Yeah, so you're out and sweating all day long in the sun. You go in there and it's cool,
it's
and
nice,
music,
yeah.
and you go on a little boat tour.
Yep.
And you have your meal.
I haven't been in a long time, but I remember that very well.
And then they had Norway, right? And the Germany had the picnic benches where it was all like kind of casual family style, right? So yeah, we're gonna go back, and I'm looking forward to that. The fireworks are always spectacular.
Always, yeah.
And we would always set up, so we'd go to Canada, La Cellier for dinner.
Okay.
And to me, it was an excellent steakhouse. And the cool thing is they hire kids that work there that are from Canada.
Oh, cool.
You know what I'm saying? So and they even have a dormitory for them. I learned all this. So each country finds exceptional students, and they give them room and board, and they so you work for Disney as a young kid, right? And it's a good experience, but they hire for that region. So maybe these kids speak French Canadian and they know some of the customs. So now they're your server, and they're serving you, the Canadian style food.
Right.
But it's always a wonderful experience.
Yeah, no question.
I also find that Orlando, the traffic there is horrendous, though.
Yeah, I avoid it at all costs. If I'm going to Jacksonville, I go around Orlando. I try to avoid it.
Yeah, so you don't take 4?
Well, you can go 4, and there's a bypass. I think it's the 437, right when you get to the Disney ears. You know what I'm talking about? As you're heading east on I-4.
Right.
There's a cutoff right there, which is the airport exit, okay? And it's a toll road, but it brings you all the way around back on to I-4 in Sanford.
Yeah.
So you dodge all of downtown Orlando.
But they hit you with a toll. There's a lot of
there
tolls
are
on there.
definitely tolls.
Is that
but
insane?
It's worth it.
Yeah, there's like 10 of them.
I don't care. It's worth it to stay out of all that traffic. I can't stand the traffic. Or what I'll do is I'll decide and be strategic. Well, I'll leave it after the rush is over at the fork at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then you're driving at night, and then you avoid all the traffic.
How often do you go back there?
I'm there a dozen times a year, probably 6 to 12 times a year.
You still have family up there?
Oh yeah, all my family's up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have a residence obviously here in Charlotte County.
Yes.
Okay. So you do a lot of driving, put a lot of miles on the car.
Do a lot of driving. I was in Fort Myers forever. I was doing 2 hours a day for 6 years almost, 5.5 years.
So I used to live in Fort Myers.
Did you?
Yeah. I was the sales manager at WFTX Fox 4.
Oh, no kidding. That's
on
cool.
Pine Island Road. Yeah, I ran the sales department there.
Yeah, I lived did different places in Fort Myers, but mainly right around the downtown area.
Now, the funny thing about Fort Myers is that the infrastructure hasn't quite kept up with the amount of people moving there.
True.
And I saw that Cape Coral had wonderful, wonderful plans, but they just never seemed to be able to get their act together.
Sure.
And it's one of the weirdest places where you'd be driving around Cape Coral and there's no vegetation anywhere. It's no one's got trees or bushes. Like a big dust bowl.
Yeah. Well, that's the way they built it back in the day. The brothers started it in the 60s. I'm sure you've read the story of Cape Coral. It's kind of interesting. Cut all the canals, and it actually has more canals than Venice, Italy. It's an interesting place. So it is definitely a waterway city.
But I also noticed that parts of Fort Myers are getting developed really quickly, and Estero seems to be the place to be down there now.
It's blowing up too. Yeah, it's the storms hurt it a little bit because there's some lower areas around there, and obviously that it became strikingly obvious what those were. After these storms happened, so there's a few places that now have a stigma attached to them with flood zones, etc. But Estero's beautiful, nice spot.
I used to live in Lauderdale also, so I would drive across Alligator Alley.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a drive that I really, really didn't care for much. It was kind of a crappy drive. But Fort Lauderdale, to me, if I had my pickings, my family and my band's here, but I would live in Fort Lauderdale in a second, dude. I just love it over there.
Yeah, it's nice.
Let's go to the Dolphin games, right? That stadium's gorgeous.
It is. I've been there several times. Yeah.
The company I worked for way back when, we had Heat tickets. Panthers, right?
Yep.
Marlins.
Yep.
And the Marlins was weird because they were a good team back then. And nobody would go to that stadium. This is the old stadium.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, they went to a series, Marlins.
Yeah. And it was like, people wait, the Marlins are playing the Yankees? The people couldn't scratch in their head.
Yeah.
But
and the Rays are kind of the same way right now, honestly. You know, I love the Trop. I think the Tropicana Field is awesome. People say they don't like it. It's ghetto. Whatever. I love it. I think it's a great.
I love it too, man.
I'll go every time, man. I become a Rays fan. You know, they spring train right behind us.
That's right.
They're at Charlotte County Sports Complex right behind the Fork. So they come in and out of the Fork, and I've got to know some of them. And we actually did a Rays watch party during COVID when they went to the series. There was like 80. Secondary coaches and strength coaches and all that stayed back in Charlotte County. They didn't let them go to Dallas. So I got a call from some guy at the Rays. He's like, "Hey, can you do a watch party for the rest of our guys?" I'm like, "Sure." So they came over. They gave me an open credit card, let them eat and drink whatever they wanted, and we did a big watch party with them.
Does their spring training games sell out?
Most of them do.
Like the Orioles do in Sarasota?
Yeah, most of them do. Obviously the big names do. If you're the Red Sox, the Yankees, they're all selling out. And then the Braves now because they're right down the street.
Well, the Braves are close too to you.
Yeah, they're right down the street.
Do they do a promotion where like after go to Twisted Fork, bring your ticket stub type of
Not
thing?
yet. I mean, we push it. We advertise in the baseball section of the paper and all that every year. So but people see us. They we're the closest restaurant to the park, so we get a lot of love.
We used to play Cool Today Park, and we actually played there when the game was on the Jumbotron.
Oh, yeah.
It was the World Series.
Yep.
So people were allowed to go sit there and watch it, which is brilliant.
Yeah, it's a great
because
idea.
the Tiki Bar got all the business.
Yeah.
And then we set up in the corner.
That's a cool setup the way they built that. I like it,
dude. That's a great stadium, man.
It is.
I love it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
And I don't know if they still have bands there, but they were doing stuff for a while. And then I think they do bigger acts like on the lawn, maybe once a year, or fireworks.
Yeah.
They do like a fireworks thing.
Well, if you got the venue, you should use it. You know what I mean? No question.
No doubt.
Doesn't loyalty mean anything to you? How about trust and undisputed truth? Do you give up your brother for capital gain? Or is it jealousy because you're not the same?
So what are some of the bigger acts that you got coming to the Fork? Anything you can tell us?
That's going to be a Marcus question. He books everything. I know a few of them that's coming, but I'm not going to drop the ball on them yet. I'll let Marcus kind of.
You know what I like about what you guys do there, Marcus, is that you provide the state. There's so many bands that are grateful because you give them an opportunity. You got bands that are just started out. You have the high school bands, like you had mentioned, that come during the open mic night. But then you have the more established bands like the Gas Houses, who have a huge following, been around 25 years, right?
Yep.
Jacked Up, obviously, we're grateful. And 22N, I mean, there's a list of bands that come and play regularly.
We do have a good solid list that we keep on rotation. You want to be careful with that because you don't want to oversaturate. So we always look at where else they're playing locally. It's important, because if they just saw them 2 weeks ago, are they going to come out and see them here? You know what I mean? So you really try to spread it out as best you can to make it uniform. But it's fun. It's, we've kind of figured out the system and it's working well. One thing I want to point out, since I had you on a podcast, people talk about the setup, right? And we're constantly trying to improve it. The roof setups coming, we're going to redo the floor plan, the setups, depending on how many tickets we sell for VIPs will depend on how big it is and how we space it. But we're going to start doing some smaller tables and really start setting it up where it's, more uniform and easier flow. But I wanted to talk about the VIP section for a minute. I've had some feedback from some patrons that think, they say, oh, it's all about money. They're just doing VIP, so they can make extra money. And that's the farthest from the truth. As a restaurant operator, I want to explain. So we're very busy, as you've seen. How many kitchens do we have? One. I can add bars till the cows come home and handle the alcohol sales. We have the big main bar, but I will add peripheral bars as we need to maintain the business for the size crowds we have. But I have one kitchen. So the VIP helps us divide and conquer the business. If I have 300 people that I know are going to eat the buffet and the VIP.
Which is a good buffet, by the way.
Thank you.
Excellent.
And we have fun with the buffet. We enjoy cooking stuff off the menu. We just come up with all kind of random fun recipes and random fun items, and we just throw down. But
there's like 2 meat choices There's
least.
some good starches.
Sometimes 4.
You know, you'll have like the mac and cheese that everybody loves,
Sure,
you know. And you'll always have some kind of greens, right?
That's right, of course.
And there'll be like some kind of cornbread.
Big dessert table.
And the dessert tables are killer.
Yeah, that's right. So with that said, you know, if I have 300 people that I know are going to order or eat the buffet, that's 300 people I'm keeping out of the main kitchen, right? So it helps control the flow of the business. So, you know, we sell these tickets for $30, $35. Quite honestly, our check averages are higher than that in the restaurant. You know, because obviously people hang out. It's not come and eat and leave unless it's lunch. People come and they hang out and they listen to music and they walk around and they check the place out. And so our check averages are higher than $35. So really, if it was about money, I wouldn't do the VIP because our check averages are higher outside of the VIP, right?
So just to recap for a second, when you purchase a ticket for VIP, that includes the buffet.
Correct.
And it's all you can eat, help yourself.
That's exactly right.
So people are you're saying that they're disappointed or upset?
Yeah,
that they
well,
have to pay?
the people that don't buy VIP, they're bummed that they can't get down front of the stage, right? So I'm working on that too. I'm going to figure out a way how I can split VIP and do a section up the middle that'll allow you to get closer to the stage. But I just want to be clear that this is nothing about money. I mean, listen, if you saw the margins that are in the restaurant business today, you'd never work in the restaurant business. If it was about money, I wouldn't be in the restaurant business. I would stay in real estate.
So people are,
but it's all about the music to me.
So people are complaining. Okay, I understand.
Not a lot,
and you want to clarify.
But I'm just clarifying.
But the thing is, they're paying for a ticket, but they're getting the food. If like they weren't getting the food, then they might have a legitimate claim. But you're giving them an incredible.
No, it's really the ones that are not in VIP
so
that
the
are
GA
complaining.
guys.
Right. Correct.
So, okay. So, you know what? I got people that are coming to the show to see us. We're playing Saturday night.
Yeah.
And they're going to be in general admission.
Yep.
But these are my friends who like to drink. So
now,
they're probably going to be in the bar.
Is there a VIP that night?
I actually bought a table that I'm going to use for myself.
Then there is a VIP. If you bought a table, there is a VIP.
So I have, I guess, 6 seats that I bought at a table. So that's good. So I'm set. But then I have people that are coming, you know, that I don't really know that well, but they're coming down to see Jacked Up. From
Sure.
So I said to him, well, I believe it's sold out. VIP. But there's plenty of general admission and you can still get a cocktail.
Correct.
Now, a lot of my friends are just going to be in the bar anyway drinking.
Well, you can get food anywhere. You can order from the bar. You can order from any random server. So, you know, it's not like you can just come and get a drink. You can always get food as well.
So the people that have complained, you basically just say, hey, look, you know, here's the deal. It's not about the money. We're trying to give you the best service possible.
That's it.
And these are the rules. And you know what? Not for nothing, but if you really like a band, then you got to get off your ass and get those tickets.
Seriously,
it sells out. It's supply and demand.
The VIP is the way to do it. I mean, you know, you get your own table. You know, you're closer to the stage. You know, there's a VIP bar that, you know, you can get drinks from or order from your server because you do have servers at the table as well. And then the buffets always rock. I mean, I intentionally look on the weekends to see which nights are VIP, and I won't eat because I want to wait and see what's on the VIP table before I eat.
You had a couple of VIPs that were like out of control, like popular, like the Guns N' Roses one.
Sure, yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, man. I mean, people go crazy over that stuff.
Yeah, there's been some big ones. I mean, Guns N' Roses has been one. The Eagles was a big one. We sold out hard for that one. That was a great night. It's fun.
So if you are general admission, you get in for free, and you can still order as much food as you want. You can order as much drinks as you want, but you're just not going to get close to the stage.
Right.
But, you know, not for nothing, but when you're back there behind the soundboard, I think it sounds better.
It does sound better because you've got your spaced correctly from the speakers.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the benefit is that you don't necessarily want to be right up front.
That's actually another upgrade we talked about was, you know, if you're on the patio, which obviously is to the south of the stage, okay, the south side of the stage, there's no side arrays, right? So you're hearing, you know, the music coming from the side of the speakers. Marcus and I were staring out the other day because we were standing out there listening to the band going, wow, the sound quality at the restaurant isn't that good, you know, at least in our minds. A lot of people don't notice it.
But because you guys are professional musicians, you have a different ear.
We have an ear for it. And so Marcus and I looked at, man, do we really want to spend the money for side arrays right now? I said, no, not right now, but let's keep it on the radar. Let's put it on the back burner.
So explain to the audience what that is.
Well, basically, you're going to fly speakers and turn them south. Now you're going to turn speakers toward the restaurant itself. And so the patio gets better quality sound than just being directly in straight view of the speakers coming from the front of the stage. You know, obviously the speakers point right out from the stage, like toward the dealership. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a traditional rock and roll concert.
Exactly. That's how you set it up. And there's nothing that handles side, you know, patrons, but you know, we're talking about potentially putting that investment in too. We'll see how it goes.
That'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
And the motorcycle guys are loving it. Like on Saturday and Sundays,
sure.
when they're doing their thing.
No
There's
question.
always a quality rock and roll band there.
No doubt.
I'm friends with Perry.
Yeah, sure.
Perry and I know each other from the old Fort Myers days.
Oh, okay, cool.
She used to work at the Harley Davidson dealer.
That she did
back then. Yeah. So she's great. She's such a nice lady, and I
Yeah.
know they love the synergy. And I think now do they just let Marcus pick all the bands, or do they do their own thing too with music?
No, Marcus does it all. It's rare the Black Widow gets involved. They know Marcus does it right and does it well, so why recreate the wheels?
Because I know that you guys have a food truck down at the Black Pearl.
We do, yeah.
So let me explain that. So South Fort Myers, there's a dealership there. It's an Indian Trace dealership.
Indian Triumph.
And that's owned by Bert,
Correct.
who owns a lot of the Harley Davidson dealership.
Correct.
So he's doing an Indian thing.
And he owns 3 stores. He owns Bert's Barracuda Harley Davidson in St. Pete, and it's a very similar venue to our venue. Okay, the restaurant up there is OCC, Orange County Choppers Roadhouse and Museum, and you'll see Paul Tuttle's floating around out there.
Is the menu's completely different?
Completely different.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not related in any way, shape, or form. Although I know the guys well. Keith Overton built it and owns it. He was the president of Tradewinds Resort on St. Pete Beach for a long, long time and sold out. And
because they're doing the St. Pete Bike Festival there now.
yes, correct.
In the old days, it was actually on the beach. Now that it's there.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. So we run a food truck at the Pearl in Fort Myers store every weekend.
The guy who runs the food truck down there is hysterical. I love that
Jeff,
guy.
yeah, he's
That guy
great.
is awesome.
He's great.
He's so cool.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Doesn't he play something? He's a musician as well.
I don't think Jeff plays anything.
He said he wanted to get up and sing with us or something. And
Okay.
I just took his word for it. I'm like, yeah, man, you can do it next time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he's great. He's solid. He's a trained chef, does a great job, loves to go on the road. If there's any road trips we do, I usually take him with me. We do, Punta Gorda, Taste of Punta Gorda and the different, offsite events. I enjoy doing the
cool.
offsite events, so I'll usually take him with me.
So, we're also involved with this Paragon Seafood Festivals. Bill Kenny runs that, and we're one of his acts. He has a lot of acts, but he'll do Tampa all the way down to like Naples. But he does a bunch in Lashley Park.
Okay.
And I love Lashley Park.
Me too.
We always play the Lashley Park ones.
Yeah.
Punta Gorda, they come out, they support, man. There's always a good, even on Easter Sunday we played. We opened up for 22N.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a great day.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, Lashley Park's fun. When they did the Big Orange Festival there for a few years in a row, Mofro headlined it.
No kidding.
So they were there. Of course, I went to every show. It was fun.
I know he told me this, but I forgot. How many members are in Mofro?
Oh, they just added a bunch. They now have an auxiliary percussionist who's a great guy. They now have 2 backup singers, females, all from Jacksonville.
I mean, what is that? How can you
So I'd
fit?
have
How
to
do you fit
count.
these
You
people
got
in
you got a bass player, you got a guitar player, you got a keyboard player, you've got 2 horn players. Oh, they added a sax player whose name's Kenny. He's a great guy. I know him from Jacksonville very well too. 2 of the guys in Mofro I played with back in the day in high school and out of high
Jesus.
school.
So how many members would you say were up on stage?
God, there's got to be 8 or 10 now.
Damn.
Got a full band. Yeah.
You
Two,
think,
2 female backup singers, new percussionists besides Craig.
is it possible to one day get them into the Fork?
Oh, it's happening. We'll definitely have them. I can't say it yet, but we'll announce the date soon enough. But they're coming
Because I know they did St. Augustine.
Yep, I have tickets for them to go. They're playing again on the 24th.
Did they ever come south? Like, have they ever been in Fort Myers? Or
Oh, they play Fort Myers all the time. They play Buckingham
B.
Blues. Buckingham Blues.
Buckingham Blues? They can play there?
Yeah.
Damn.
But if you remember, they have a huge outside field and an outdoor stage.
Oh, okay.
So it's big. You can fit 1,000 people in there probably.
Damn.
Yeah.
There's a song that he does called Loch Loosa,
I know it well.
the live version.
I know it well.
It's so hypnotic.
Seen him do it live hundreds
It's so
of times.
hypnotic.
Oh yeah.
I just feel
Have
sorry.
you been to Lockaloosa?
I feel sorry for the bass player because he's playing the same goddamn notes for about an hour.
Yeah, it's Todd. Todd
No,
Smalley is his
I haven't been to
name.
Loch Loosa, but if you listen to the lyrics, I'm under the impression that it was once a beautiful place and now it's
It still is a beautiful
they're starting to
place. It's
develop
right off of 301 heading toward Gainesville, real close to Jacksonville. It's a beautiful place. And there's a big lake there, which is what he sings about. Most of his songs are about Florida, which is cool to me being a Florida boy. Marcus and I are 5 generations Florida.
Do you get to hang out with JJ? You know him well?
We'll see him after the shows, talk to the band and hang out after, I always get backstage passes for all the shows. So I'll, whoever I'm with, I'll get them in and we'll go hang out and introduced the band to him. We just saw him in St. Pete. What was it, just a few weeks ago?
That's right.
At they headlined a blues festival. We hung out with them that night.
That's right. Yeah.
In fact, we actually stayed in the same hotel with them, so we hung out for quite a while.
I always have a gig and I can't seem to go to these things.
Sure,
man.
sure.
But I want to see him.
Yeah, they're great.
I mean, he's got a very loyal audience, dude. They all sing along to like all of his songs.
Oh, I did that when you said it the other day about earlier about your other guy. Same thing. You go to a Mofro show, everybody knows every word, every song. It's fun. So, and I've been listening to him for 20 years plus. So, this new album they've got, they've just been touring stronger than I've ever seen them tour.
They're picking up momentum,
big time.
How would you classify their music if you had to put it in a box? Like, what would you say?
I call it
blues?
Florida swamp music.
Is it Florida swamp blues?
There's
bluesy.
There's
a blues element to it.
There is a blues element to it, but I wouldn't necessarily pigeonhole
Could you say
it in
folk?
blues. Yeah, sure. You could call it some. It's got its own genre. I mean, there's some other bands that kind of file in similar to it, like a Blackberry Smoke or a Derek Trucks. Or
do they rock out too though?
Oh, they rock out, no question. Yeah, I mean they'll do their solos and they just put and JJ's an entertainer.
So I got my tickets for Tedeschi Trucks, and
they're great.
They're coming in October to Clearwater.
Yeah,
and the Revelator album is one of my favorite records.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest albums from start to finish.
His wife's an amazing musician.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, she was popular on her own. Before they hooked up.
Yeah, she does national anthem all over the country for different sporting events.
Do you actually see her at the stadium? Because they're Dirt Jag fans.
They're big Jag fans too. I don't know where their seats are, but they're. But
the cool thing about them, and maybe they must love it because they're not so famous that they can go out and mingle and be like, part of the crowd. Like,
sure.
Their seats are normal seats with everybody else.
Unless they got a box, but I don't know if they do.
'Cause that must be nice to be famous and be wealthy, but yet not be harassed by people.
Sure. Yeah, people respect. We've got a lot of famous musicians that come out of Jacksonville. Molly Hatchet, 38 Special, Leonard Skinner.
Oh my God, dude! Let me tell you something.
It's a long list.
I grew up to Molly Hatchet.
Yeah,
we
had them at the Fork. Matter of fact, when Molly Hatchet played at the Fork, it was our busiest day ever had.
Okay, and I'm glad you said that. But I want to say one thing.
The lead singer is a Jaguar fan and has season tickets.
He's a young kid.
Yeah,
I saw them at the Thunder by the Bay the year before last. But here's my question to you: what do you think of this? When you have a band like Molly Hatchet, Marshall Tucker, and then they start touring, and years go on, and then the members start falling out, and then there's no original members left. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as long as they are staying true to the music and staying true to the original artist, I'm good with it. I mean, people die. That's what happens. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's so many we've lost recently. It sucks to see them drop off, but it's part of the deal. So as long as they're true to the music, I got to tell you, Molly Hatchet did a great show at the Fork. I was just loved their show.
They're a great band.
I mean, oh my gosh. And what is there, one member left?
I don't even know.
I think there's one left.
I think Skinner, Ricky Medlock is the only one from Skinner, and he wasn't even an original.
He wasn't.
But he was the early record.
Blackfoot originally.
No, but before Blackfoot, he did play. He sang the White Dove, and he played, and so Gary Rossington, before he died, made a statement saying Ricky Medlock is with us from the day one.
I've met him a few times. He's a good guy.
So I guess to my point is that I still would go see Skinner. I still think Skinner's great, but there are people that say, no, Skinner is now a tribute of Skinner. And that's kind of bullshit because like you said, they're true to the music. They know Johnny Van Zandt.
I mean,
is
look
still
at
singing.
the Allman Brothers guys. I mean, it's relatives of, you know what I mean? You still got cousins and brothers and different people that are in the band. I mean, so I don't know. It's, I'm not going to.
Dude, I love the Allman Brothers.
As long as they stay true to the music, I have no problem with it.
If I had to rank all these bands we're talking about, Allman Brothers have to come first for me, man.
Yeah,
I just
great.
think they make me smile. Like no band ever. I just when I put on our Allman Brother record, like Brother and Sisters Eat a Peach.
Oh yeah,
I'm thoroughly entertained.
We have the Brothers Revival, which is an Allman Brothers tribute that we keep on rotation. If you haven't seen them yet, make sure you're there at the next show. They're great. They put on an amazing show.
And the funny thing about earlier I made a point about how this is a rock and roll place in Sarasota, and I'm sure Charlotte's the same. Allman Brothers, when you play Allman Brothers at like Stottlemyre's or any of these venues, people go apeshit, dude. Yeah. They love it.
Yeah, sure.
And Dickie's son is, he's playing, right?
He is, yeah.
I saw one of last
saw him in St. Augustine.
Okay.
He opened up for Mofro at the last Mofro show.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They did something at Van Wezel. Dickie was there in his wheelchair. I think he died thereafter. It might have even been his birthday, but it was the Betts guy. It was the Allman guy. Like they called the Allman family or something. I think they did it again the next year, but it was like a reunion. Tal Bachman played bass.
We had one of the brothers play at the Fork just a few weeks ago. It was on a Sunday.
Who was it?
Michael Allman.
No kidding.
Michael Allman.
Wow.
In fact, my band with John Salloway and Regulars played behind him. We played that night. He was the day band, and then we set up and played. So we got to chat and hang out with him and talk to him for a little while. Solid guy, fun. He looks just like him, long hair and everything.
Yeah. Have you? Yeah. Right. Greg was a good-looking guy. Remember in the old days, man? He was like, very
blonde.
Yeah. But the Outlaws, another band. So like I saw them. I guess Henry Paul. They've also have been through a lot of changes, right?
Sure.
Huey Thomason passed and all that stuff. But the Florida Guitar Army, they still put on a hell of a show, man.
Yeah, no
and
doubt.
they still play in this area. Have they ever played the Fork?
The Outlaws we keep them on rotation as well. They played at the Fork a few times.
And they're doing like some kind of Christmas thing they got in Fort Myers they do every year or something.
Oh, okay. Haven't seen that.
And then there's Charlie Daniels, who nobody seems to talk about. But Charlie Daniels, I mean, is he still alive?
I know. I think he passed.
Yeah. I saw him a few times, man, years ago. And
matter of fact, the drummer for Kettle of Fish used to play for Charlie Daniels.
You're right.
Or was it Hank Williams?
No, he played with Charlie.
For Charlie Daniels. Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So being in Jacksonville, man, I mean, 38 Special, we didn't even mention them. You got to see all that stuff, man. I mean,
I know the keyboard
that was where
player
they all
for
came
38
out of,
Special very well. He's a buddy of mine. He comes to the Fork all the time. Great guy. He's on tour right now. I missed a show in Lauderdale. I was supposed to get over and see with them. He was going to get me backstage and everything, but couldn't make it over there. But
So there was Ronnie, Donnie, and Johnny. So Donnie went and did 38 Special and eventually left.
Yep.
That band got a lot of radio play, man.
Sure did.
Johnny's doing his thing with Skinner now.
Yeah.
And I remember the Johnny Van Zandt band. I had those records, man.
Oh, yeah.
And then Ronnie, obviously the legend, passed away.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, listen, we're getting ready to be in our final closing minutes here. So I wanted to ask some questions, like how do people find you? They want to hear your performance. They want to hear your two bands. Where would they find that information?
Well, we've got carnivalofsoul.net. It's all over Spotify as well. There's, 50 songs or something on Spotify. It's Carnival of Soul stuff you can listen to. John Salloway, it's everywhere too, wherever you listen to music.
So would his website, is it johnsalloway.com?
I'm not sure. I'd
or
have to
Facebook,
look.
just type in John Salloway.
Yeah, you find him, John Salloway on Spotify, John Salloway on any of the streaming services. You'll find
because people don't they just want to not only want to hear it, but they want to be able to find out if they can attend one of his shows.
Sure.
They want to see where his dates are.
Well, we stay on rotation at the Fork, both bands. When we went to Kentucky, that was the first time both bands actually played at the same place, which was a lot of fun. So, and being that we've got members in both bands, we were on stage for quite a while, but it was a fun day. And it's just, you'll enjoy the music. It's quite a bit different, the two bands. So it's fun being involved in both and being able to, spread your wings a little bit and play different styles.
What do you love the most about performing still to this day?
Gosh, the drums are my happy place. I mean, that's where I love to be. I'm very comfortable behind a drum set. I just, put me there. Let's go. What are we playing? What are we
spiritual place?
It is. It's my spot, man. I'd love to be there. They've started to yank me out to sing more. Salloway's a drummer as well. That was his first instrument, and so it's like, Bert, you got to learn a couple songs. I want you to sing so I can play drums. I'm like, okay. So I actually did Steppenwolf, Born to Be Wild, a couple shows. And came out and sang, and he played drums. But
now you fill in on drums, or you guest appear on drums for several bands.
If the
right,
if the
you
bands
played with
know
Gas
me,
House.
yeah. If the bands know me,
did
they'll
you play
call
with
me
Twinkle
up.
once?
Probably. I played with a bunch of them.
Yeah.
They call me up, I'll play.
And do you keep a kit at the Fork?
I have. I'm a nerd. I've got a few kits at the Fork. Our house kit is a Ludwig Vista Light kit.
Is that yellow one?
No, it's black.
Because there was a yellow kit there that was gorgeous.
It's not ours. No, my kits are. I have 2 DW kits. They're a sunburst fade wood grain stain kit. And then I have another kit. It's a Lake Superior Timeless Timber 30th anniversary kit.
These are serious kits.
These are serious kits.
If you had like a major act coming through and they needed a kit, there's no problem.
They have played my DW several times.
Okay.
In fact, Los Lobos played them. Puddle Mud had their own stuff, but I lent them pieces, pedals and stuff. But I keep Boomsticks right next door, our gun business. It doubles as our band room, so I keep both kits over there.
What is Boomsticks?
Boomsticks is a gun shop, and it's
your business?
Right next to the Fork, and I'm a partner in it.
No kidding.
And we do anything and everything with firearms. You name it. We Sierra coat them, which means paint them. You can do all kind of designs and make them whatever color or design that you could possibly dream up. We do it right in house. We have a laser etcher. We have a 3D printer. We got sandblaster. you name it, we can do it. We're having a lot of fun. We build all kind of crazy guns for people.
Interesting.
We have what's called an FFL, a federal firearms license. So there's a lot that we can do under that license with firearms.
Aren't you involved in a body shop too?
Yeah, we have what's called the Twisted Garage.
Yeah.
It is in
Craig.
Punta Gorda.
Yeah.
Craig, that's right.
Yeah.
Good buddy. That's Jessica's husband from Red, as you know. He and I are business partners in the hot rod shop. It's 2 doors down from Peace River Brewing in Punta Gorda. We're having a blast with it. I just love old cars. I always have, growing up. Dad always had some old cars, and my brother and I just, always got into the old cars. And so we have a lot of fun working on them and building them. And so it's a real fun business.
What would you say to someone who's never been to the Twisted Fork? How would you invite them? Or what would you say, they can experience?
I invite people every day. I mean, I'm constantly inviting people.
I should say, what sets you guys apart, man?
Well, I mean, truly, I care about the food. I care about the service. It's not about the money. It really isn't. I'm having a blast with it. Walking out of the kitchen on a Friday night at 9:30 after we just got murdered, and I go out there and there's 900 people, 1,200 people having a great time. It's just worth it all.
So you're a hands-on guy.
Very much.
And you care about people's experiences, right?
I mean, I'm in the store all the time. I mean, I'll cook circles around these cooks and they know it. I'll jump back in that kitchen and jump right in. So, I love it. It's fun.
What are some of your favorite items on the menu?
Oh gosh, the hog wings. If you haven't had them, you got to.
I had those.
They're amazing.
Nobody has those. That's weird. Like you're the only one I know that does that.
They're quite good. The Brussels sprouts, they're a big seller. Anything smoked, we smoke in house, which is awesome. Our baby back ribs, I'll put them up against anybody's. The grits. You're from New York. You probably don't do grits,
no.
but I think we've got the best grits around. They're a Yellowstone ground grit. The shrimp and grits are all over the top good. But we set it up where you can put anything on the grits, from blackened chicken to salmon to grilled chicken to shrimp.
That's the southern part of you right there, right?
That's Floro cracker part of me. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, but there's a lot of great things. The burgers are phenomenal. They're a brisket short rib blend, 80/20, fresh, never frozen. They grind them fresh for us 3 times a week. Half pound thick cut. It's just a great burger. We also have bison, which is really good. Check out the specials. I mean, we rotate different things in. They're a lot of fun.
What about the liquor? Full service bar?
Full service, anything.
You have a cocktail drink menu and all that stuff?
Big one. Several pages. Absolutely.
And I'm assuming you keep some of the local beers on tap?
We do. Yeah. I try to source everything as locally as we can. I enjoy that. It's fun, whether it's, there's a ranch and out in Arcadia that sometimes we get some beef from and bison from, whatever I can do to source locally, we try to do it. It's fun. And obviously Cheney Brothers is right there in Punta Gorda too.
Sure. That's right. You always go by it on 75.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Well, listen, Bert, thank you so much for coming in.
Oh man, thanks for having me.
I am personally a big fan of yours and your brothers. I love the food.
Appreciate you.
Love the venue that you set up for us,
Thank
man.
you.
All musicians are very happy to be there. So thank you for doing that for us.
Man, I'm so glad we pulled it off. It's my pleasure. It's my heart, man. I mean, music is where it's at. Music's our thing, and it's my thing, and I just love to be able to be involved and be part of it.
So, folks, if you haven't been to the Twisted Fork, it's on El Jobin Road. Easy to get to. You can't miss it, right? Right off of there.
Yeah, we're right in front of the Charlotte County Sports Complex, right across from the fairgrounds.
What are the hours at the restaurant?
We open at 11 every day. Sometimes we'll open early if there's a breakfast event or something we're doing, but normally it's 11 o'clock, and then 10 o'clock weekdays, 12 o'clock weekends, closing time.
And you get a lot of people there, man, of all types of people, too.
It's very true.
And it's not just the bikers. Like, yes, there is a biker section.
Yeah, this one to be clear, we're not a biker bar.
Right, you're not.
We're not. We have a Harley Davidson.
You're a family restaurant.
Yeah, we are. We appeal to the masses. We want everybody to come and enjoy us, and they do. It's a lot of fun seeing the diversity.
Do you do things for kids? Like, is like a kids night or a kids menu?
In the summer we're going to do some kids eat free stuff. We do it every summer, and we'll roll out some more kid stuff. We've actually done some kid nights where we'll bring in some, blow up houses and different things like that. Cause we've got the pavilion space. We've got room for it. So, every so often we'll cater to the local kids.
One of the coolest things I ever saw is I went a couple times to the open mic night. Because I'm friends with Charles Zammit and some of these folks.
Oh yeah.
And you had some high school kids.
They were great too.
And
they played my old music, which I loved.
And their parents were there.
Yeah.
And these kids, like they never, you're giving them access that nobody will give these kids.
Right,
There's no place for them to play.
Yeah, it's fun.
And just seeing the smiles on their faces, man, and how excited they were.
That one kid could hardly reach the pedals on the drums, but he pulled it off. It was so fun to watch.
And then I got up and played bass with some kid. His mother asked me if I would play because he's a blues guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't Champ Jackson.
It was Vin.
Yeah.
Vin.
And I got up and played. And I think was it Sean McDaniel played drums?
Yeah.
And we backed the kid up. And he's doing Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
He's doing
he's really good.
I was like, holy shit.
His brother is the drummer. Vin's brother is a drummer, and Vin's dad is a musician. He's also Vin Senior, but they're a cool family, and they pop in quite a bit.
So Nate Winkler is going to be on the show with Champ next weekend.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah, and I always love seeing Champ Jackson because I think he's getting taller now. He's getting bigger.
Yeah, he's growing up all of a sudden.
But when he was real little and he had the curly hair, and he's singing about the blues, and he's been run down, he's been lied to. I think that was hysterical.
Yeah, no doubt. You don't know nothing yet.
But he certainly could sing and play like he did.
No question.
No, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was there this weekend. Yeah, Champ played this weekend.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to say thank you for coming in.
Oh, man. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure having you.
My pleasure.
I'll see you at the Fork.
Sounds great, man. Look forward to it.
See you.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
And now, critical party information from Bert's Back Porch, the Twisted Fork, and Bert's Black Widow Harley-Davidson.
Eat, drink, and enjoy 7 days a week at the Twisted Fork, El Jobin Road in Port Charlotte. Lunch, dinner, drinks, sports, and fun featuring the area's best bands and tributes on Bert's Back Porch. And right next door, it's Bert's Black Widow Harley-Davidson. Go to bertsblackwidow.com or Bert's Black Widow Harley-Davidson on Facebook for the latest information on sales, rides, and special events.
See the biggest concerts and tribute shows on Bert's Back Porch. Get more information and pick up VIP tickets at twistedfork.freshtix.com.